this is just the perfect occupation. Why didn't I do this earlier or take it on and everything else?
Well, I have a saying too, Stuart, that I think a lot of people can look at in regard to trade. If you can find a job that you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's what trading is. I mean, I love to do it. I mean, it's like a hobby. It's like fun. It's like pleasure or whatever, and get paid for it.
Yes.
So how can you beat that and get paid very handsomely for it? So that's the thing. But I don't want to underestimate or underemphasize the seriousness of it too. You have to go in there with a plan. You have to go in there with a habitual routine. You have to go in there with the desire. You have to go in there with passion, and you have to be tough. So.
Okay. Character attributes of successful traders. I often talk about it. Is discipline overrated? Everyone talks about discipline. It's almost cliche when it comes to trading, but you'd have to think. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think discipline's not overrated at all. Yeah,
discipline is something that affects different people in different ways. And what I found is one person might think they're undisciplined, whereas another person thinks they're very disciplined. And when you compare the two, the one that thinks they're undisciplined is more disciplined than the one that thinks they're disciplined.
Wow. Is that because their standards are higher or something?
Yeah,
their personal
that's
standards are higher?
Well, what you find with people, Stuart, I think a lot of times, and I'm sure you've seen this too, a person can be very disciplined in one environment, in one situation, and for a very finite period of time. Another person is generally more disciplined, but maybe for that very focused interval of time, the other one is more disciplined. I'm a case of that. I don't consider myself a disciplined person at all in my life and the way I've done, because I'm very impulsive. I'm an adrenaline junkie or whatever. But when I trade, every T is crossed and every I is dotted, all details are paid attention to. So I think that's a mindset to accomplish. It doesn't have to be as much quantitative as what people think, that I'm going to regiment it to be out here at this point or only X amount of money and stuff like that. It's more the mindset of I'm protecting my assets, and that's the number one focus of what I do. The profits take care of themselves. The losses have to be governed. Now, if that's discipline, that's what I say. But, discipline is not that every day I have to have a black pen and a blue pen and a yellow pen, or whatever, and I have to sit a certain way when I'm trading, and I have to read the newspaper at the same time. Those are more quirks than anything else. But the other side of the thing is that, all right, given this situation, I will do this type of reaction to it every time, because I know the probabilities are that it'll work out. Not to say one won't work, because one won't work at some time. Then you have to employ the discipline and knowing that you're bad and get out of the thing. But discipline is a very integral part, but the application of it and the definition, I think, is widespread.
So, I mean, we could list another 20 character attributes, and you've already mentioned it. You mentioned passion before, and desire and focus and patience and confidence, and we could keep rattling them all off. But I think, personally, I think discipline just stands at the top, because discipline is self-control, and how can you have some of those other attributes if you don't have some measure of self-control over yourself? But anyway, I won't go on any more about the attributes. I think it all comes from a deep desire within to heighten and improve those attributes and become more patient and disciplined and everything else. And does the solitary nature of trading bother you? Like, have you ever come from an environment where you're part of a great team? And because I think that's something that also hits people of, where's all those people I used to have a coffee with at morning tea, or that they're not there anymore? Do you think that?
It bothers me a lot. I think a lot is your personality, what you are. Some of the traders that I've mentored are very reclusive in nature. One of my good friends is Marty Schwartz. And Marty is very reclusive. He doesn't like to be around people at all.
Wouldn't bother him at all.
In fact, he'll say, I want to trade in solidarity. That's when he does the best thing. Now, he likes to talk on the phone, or whatever, but he talks on the phone at his own pleasure. But personally with me, I need noise. I need interaction with people, and that was one thing that I did not like, and I still don't like about it. Now, fortunately, now I have some traders that are in my office with me. We're talking about the market. I think that commiserating is a healthy thing. And but then when it's the time to focus too, it's quiet, and we're watching things, and we're being very intent in that regard. But that is a problem, I think, with a lot of people. If you're a gregarious, outgoing person, and all of a sudden you're stuck in a trading room with no interaction with people, then your mind can do bad things.
Yes, yeah. Look, I know your background. You were, a big sport player and playing basketball. I know you have a big interest in basketball, and that's all about team and coaching and all that sort of stuff. And I was in one of Australia's great teams in the Australian Army, and as an officer, and camaraderie and teamwork. And I personally have felt that I found that very difficult to get used to the quiet of my own office and not having anyone around. And I'm sure it affects certain people in bad ways, as you said, not having that. Okay, Mark, I don't want to take up too much more of your time because I know your time is very busy. I'll ask you a couple more if I may.
Sure.
Look, we can beat ourselves up about losses, and sometimes those losses get a bit bigger than we want them to get, and they can affect us in different ways. If you have a really good winning streak, may not be over a couple of hours or a day, maybe over a week or something, do you reward yourself? Do you recognise the fact that, you know what, that last week, that was something special, that was just something out of the box? Do you recognise that in any way, shape or form? Do you reward yourself in any way?
Oh yeah, I definitely do, Stuart, and I think it has to be something that's quantitative and also has its quality to it as I gauge it and everything. In other words, for example, if you want to go on a certain vacation, you make X amount of dollars, which is the quantifying it, and then you reward yourself by doing it, because if you don't, you sit there or whatever, then you're going to become a workaholic, so to speak. So I think that's what you look at. So yeah, it's very important.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Whew, because I believe that as well. And I know people say, oh no, it's just part of trading, reward. And I think we do beat ourselves up on losses. I think, why not reward ourselves and the vacation or the family dinner or the new driver for your golf set or something? I do believe in. I think it reinforces the positive and why we're doing it. And we don't do it all. We don't do it all the time. But okay, I guess one final question, if I may, is you've had so many years of experience and you've seen so many different things. If you were to somehow jump in a Back to the Future car and go all the way back to 77, what would be the single biggest thing that you would change completely now knowing what you know? Is there something that stands out as, I would do this from day one, as opposed to going through all those years and learning that?
Well, that's a very good question. I think I just got one answer that fits it, and it's bothered me for a long time, and I'm a little bit bitter about it. In that, back when I started, which was 1977, there wasn't enough education available. I searched diligently to find a mentor. I find somebody that had been through some hard knocks and had some scars and stuff, something that was an older gentleman or lady or whatever. I could not find anybody. And my losses and my anger that I had, my pain I endured and all that, is if I would have had somebody, because I would have listened to them. And I just want to tell people out there, whoever, find somebody that's been through some hard knocks and whatever, and got some scars, and listen to them. Because if you don't, you're going to have to live through that yourself. And I think every person needs to have a few scratches and abrasions and bruises and things like that, but they don't have to get crushed.
No.
So, but I could not. The first 5 years, I didn't make money at all, and I look back on it. Everything I learned the hard way. It does intensify, your staying power as far as your maintenance in your mind, because it's imprinted. You got hit, maybe somebody else that says something to you because you haven't experienced it, doesn't have the impact. But you still need to listen in regard to that. So I would encourage any young trader who's got all the other attributes for it or whatever, to find somebody that's similar to them, that has been through it, that's maybe a decade or 2 years, 2 decades older than them, or has a much more experience or whatever. And by gosh, just drain the brain.
Just to finish, you mentioned the other night Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, Jesse Livermore, and I remember in that book it said how you've got to, you'll win a lot, but then you'll lose a lot, and only through that losing do you learn a lot. And it said something along the lines of every trader will go through that learning stage. And I thought to myself right then, I don't want to do that because I'm here to make money. I don't want to go through but I did go through. And when the NASDAQ crashed in early 2001, I lost a ridiculous amount of money. And it was only then that I thought, okay, I actually need to change some things here. So I did go through that, even though I don't want to. Maybe you do have to, maybe you don't. I'm not sure. But anyway, look, Mark, I cannot thank you enough. I know your schedule is very, very tight here in Australia. It's great. I'm really happy to see you in my country for the first time. I hope you had a great time, and I know you're here for a few more days.
It's a beautiful country. I just appreciate that, Stuart.
I know it's a long way to fly.
Yeah. I know you've been to the States and everything, but Australia is just equally nice, and it's just phenomenal here, and I appreciate the time to chat with you.
Well, I appreciate your time. I know your time's busy, so thanks very much, and I hope you guys have been able to learn something from that, from one of the absolute masters in trading. So thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
it.
Thank you,
Thank
Stuart.
you.
Take care.